Representative Backer.
Yes, Madam Speakers and members, thank you. And, you know, yesterday I was talking to one of our constituents and I shared with her, she's 26, and I shared with her, tomorrow we have the weed bill on the floor. And the first word out of her session, so you're going to have a joint session. And that is the frustration and from my constituents. This gal works hard. But she's not going to see, and people in my district, any tax relief from the PPP or unemployment tax. They're frustrated. I did a radio I do every Thursday with KKOK, and I know Representative Marquardt also gets on KKOK from time to time. But the first question out of the mouth from the radio announcer is, are you going to get done in time? What do you guys got a budget surplus. What are you doing with that? Minnesotans, like I shared with it, work really hard for their money. They need this tax relief. They need us to get the budget done in time. People are wondering in West Central Minnesota, are you going to get done in time? I said, I'm concerned about the majority and the leadership. We have not passed any major budget bills, and today we're talking about the weed bill, and which harms kids. And a lot of things have been said about this pot bill, but there's one thing that has not been said. I believe that I will just share a story. This was back on in my 25 years serving as an EMT. I have been on a number of DWIs, driving while under influence, and not just alcohol, but other things. So when I hear representatives says that from both sides of the aisle, I respect them both, that people won't get hurt by using this, they are wrong. I have came on a number of scenes over the years that people have been hurt from driving while under influence. People who've been hurt, and I pick them out of the ditch because they were not the ones on the DWI. There's one that I'm going to share you about that I remember the most. This is back on St. Patrick's Day. It's one of the holidays when you're on as an EMT. You just better listen to the pager because we know people celebrate, and there's nothing wrong with celebration under limits. There's wrong with pot. Because like several representatives, it does cause mental illness. I've seen it. Seen in one crew member who she was younger and took pot and had mental illness and passed away at a young age of her young 60s. But anyways, pager went off. This was about 1 o'clock. I was on call. Car accident. Just about. Let's see, it was outside of our territory, but we got paged because it was right on our line. And they said car accident, three people. And I knew the dispatcher's name, Stan. I could hear it in his voice. He was really concerned. So I was on that night, rushed up to the scene. We pull it out, the first rig, and the dispatcher comes on and says, the deputy says, hurry up. I'm in the middle of the road doing CPR, and I do not know how long I can keep this person alive. So we called for backup. We were all ready for something. You run these scenes. This wasn't my first one. It won't be my last one. You run these scenes in your mind. So we get to the scene, and we had 3 people, kids. One was 19. Why I remember this one so well, her name was Brittany. That's my daughter's name. She was 19. I did not take her. My brother and another member worked with her. We called in the Graceful ambulance because we were overwhelmed. I took a young gentleman who was 20, and the other person was 21. These were young people, all DWI. I won't tell you what they were doing because they weren't doing anything good at that night and how they were driving. We found them scattering around, one on the middle of the road. and the other two in the ditches and so forth. Of course, we did everything we could. It was one of those few runs that you get soaked with blood. That was one of the runs. We ran to the hospital. Most of people probably don't realize when you're in greater Minnesota, at 1:30, 2 o'clock at night, you become the ER. You're working with the docs and the nurse. And we worked my person for almost an hour and a half, and we called it. We had the helicopters already coming. We called in 2 helicopters, thought maybe we could do something. The second person, of course, came in quickly afterwards, pronounced dead. And then the gal, whose name was Brittany, passed away at 7 o'clock that morning. So don't share with me that a drug does not impact people. And when 25 years of my service as a volunteer, I have seen it. I've seen domestic abuse. This bill will cause harm, just like right now what the majority is doing by not helping with tax relief. There are families in my district that are hurting and unemployment. There are businesses. You know, we talk about Representative Nash talking about businesses leaving the state. There is no longer a community on west central Minnesota larger than the Dakotas anymore. Why? Because this stuff that goes on. Oh, yeah, we're going to get something done. We're not getting done. We're talking about a bill that will not get done, a pot bill that will only harm people in the long run. And that's what's so frustrating. We don't have a budget bill. We have $4 billion of excess money, which, like on my radio interview today, people are just like, you know, the announcer goes, $4 billion. I said, we've never seen this. This is unprecedented. And we want to talk about raising taxes. Well, folks, our districts will just continue to get larger out here because people want to go where there's freedom, where they can take risks and not have to send everything to St. Paul. So with that, I cannot vote no. I mean, I'm going to vote no. I cannot support a bill that I have seen so many people harmed while driving while under the influence. And that will be marijuana. That is alcohol now, and it is also marijuana right now and other drugs. I could literally spend, I know members wouldn't want to spend this long, hours going through every single run that I've been on. So with that, I'm a no, and thank you for your time, members and Madam Speaker.